welcome back to Haunting the Collector with me, Jace, and today I'll be doing the review on this fella, quarter scale Lurtz by Prime 1 Studio. And yeah, there's a bit to get through here, guys. I'll try and keep this as short as I can, but there is a bit to discuss on this. And I'm glad I left it a few days to do the review, because as some of you picked up on when I did the unboxing, I wasn't overly impressed with the base, and I'm still not. But we'll get into that. We'll get into all of it now. So without further ado, because there is a lot to go through on this, let's crack on, shall we? Now, first of all, I've had an issue with mine, which I'm hoping is an isolated issue and none of you have the same problem. But I'm going to talk through it quickly with you all, because I feel that if any of you do have the problem, and also this might help avoid the issue, I'm hoping it does. But anyway, basically what happened was, literally straight after I'd filmed the unboxing, I was sat over there and I was editing the video, and I'd only just started editing. And I heard a clatter, and basically his right arm had fell off. Now, I'd got the sword arm on at the time. I got the sword and shield, and that had fell off. And luckily there was no damage to either the statue or the arm. However, what had happened, the magnet that's inside the torso, the bond of the whatever adhesive they use, had basically failed. It had just broken. The magnet had fell out, well, and obviously still attached to the arm. Now, the magnets on these arms are extremely powerful. They are very strong. They snatch the arm out your hand. They are literally the polar opposite to the magnet they used on the front chainmail on Sauron. Now, because it pulls it out your hand when you're putting the arm on. And I think if there's a weakness there, the thwacking of the arm going in, and then you've really got to pull it off to get it. Sorry about that. Double entendres. Because you've really got to, there's no way I can say this, you've really got to yank at it to get it off. Sorry, I've got a real childish mind. You know, if there is a weakness there with these magnets, come on, Jason, try and be professional. You know, I think this could find it. So the advice I'm giving is, if you've gone for the EX version of this, I would find out very quickly which you prefer, which setup, the arms or the sword and shield. Incidentally, I vastly prefer this now. I've had it for a few days. I vastly prefer this. And I'd leave it at that, because I think the magnets are so strong. If there is a weakness there with the adhesive used, putting these arms in and out is certainly going to find it. The other thing I'm going to say is, if any of you, now I've had this happen before. Now I've not emailed Prime 1, and I'm not going to. It's all it is the glue. The bond has failed on the adhesive, and the magnets come out. There was no damage done. You know, I've had it happen before. Now, as you'll see, it's a round magnet. It's a round. Was the easiest way to show you. So it's a round magnet, and as you can see, just separating this magnet has removed the paint, and it's removed the paint off that one as well, which was quite important. I'll tell you why. Basically, first of all, it was a job just to separate the magnet from the arm, a real job to do it. I had to get something in between, because you can't grip the magnet. Now, when you go to glue the magnet in, you've got to make sure you put it in the right way around, because if you put it in the wrong way around, it's going to repel, not attract. And unfortunately, the paint on the one side of mine had completely come off. I don't quite know how it had come off just by the armful now, but it did anyway. It might have been the fact that I was trying to prise it off, whatever. So I'm left with a magnet with two silver sides. And so what I did was I put the glue on the magnet on the side I needed to glue in. Because what happens is when you put the magnet in, it flips onto its side, and I had to use a couple of chopsticks to sort of get it in place. And because if you glue that in the wrong way around, I don't know how you're going to get that magnet out. So something to be very wary of. Now, potentially a better way that you could do this, it's up to you. I mean, none of you might have any issue, so I might just be talking out on the top of my head. What I would do is I'd let the magnet magnetised to that, so you know you've got the magnet the right way around. I'd put the whatever adhesive you're using in the slot, then I'd just put the arm in place and hold it for a few minutes or however long, and then you know it's glued in the right way around, don't you? So that's probably a better way of doing it. It's just with me, I'm just worried that the glue seeps or leaks and you end up gluing the arm in, but I'll leave that to you if it happens. Hopefully this is an isolated issue. To me, now, I'm just looking now. Unfortunately, when I was arsing around trying to get the magnet glued in, I actually broke him. What I did was I gripped him on the back of his head because I was trying to get the magnet in. And I broke it here. I don't know if you can see it. It's a tiny, tiny, tiny little piece of his hair. Can you see that? It's tiny. I can't even grip it properly. It's minute because all the hair on the back is sculpted. Now, fortunately, I can actually, if I look at this angle, I can see where it's broke off, and I've actually looks like I've cracked another piece as well. Now, fortunately, you can't really see it because it's on the back, but because I know it's there, there's one piece I've cracked, and then you can see the other piece. When I bring the camera around and I walk around, you'll see what I've done. I'm hoping that I can sort of glue that one piece back on. It's going to be a very fiddly job, but yeah, that's on me. So I'm really bloody annoyed with myself. But yeah, another piece of advice I'd give, if that happens or you're doing something, take the head off. Okay, that's that bit done. Now, let's start with this base. Now, I'm going to go all handheld on you shortly and zoom into this. But first of all, I wanted to talk about this base surround, which this is really trivial. But I didn't like this, the fact that they'd gone for this. Now, I know why they've gone for this option, and I appreciate what Prime 1 have tried to do. They've made it so that it matches up with the Sauron one. Now, obviously, you've got the Elvish script round here, and obviously which is on the one ring, and it's gold coloured. Now, somebody told me this actual design here is to replicate Barad-dûr, which is a very good idea on Sauron, but it doesn't work with Lurtz. I know it matches the bases up, but I think Prime would have missed a trick here. Because, well, first of all, Lurtz never went to Barad-dûr. He was an Uruk-hai, he was Saruman, he was Orthanc. Now, I think they should have gone for an Orthanc design around here, because then the bases, you would have had the two towers. So, it's a very, very trivial little whinge to have, but, I just thought it would have looked better. For me, having the same base as Sauron, it felt a little bit, they could have done something else. It could have looked better. That said, though, these last few days, having him on the shelf over there with the LED on, this actually lights up and it looks like an antique-esque copper. And it looks really good. So I've actually grown to really quite like this surround. And so, yeah, that's just a very, very minor thing. Now, the next thing I'm going to get onto, for me, isn't minor. I'm looking at it now, and it's bloody disgusting. Right, I'm going to go all handheld now, guys, and zoom you in so I can show you. And I'm going to overlay a couple of images as I do this of the promotional piece. Now, I know some of you are going to sit there and say, well, the promotional pieces are always better. They are, but when comparing the promotional piece to this piece, you'll see what I mean. We're talking very basic colour applications here, which would have made all the difference on this. In fact, Mike, I hope you're watching this, because this is where I'm going to sort of show you what I've got and what it can be. I'm actually in discussions with someone now to potentially get this one area of the base repainted, because I dislike it that much. To me, from Prime 1 Studios, I expect a heck of a lot better than this. And it's only this one area, but I'll show you now. I was talking to somebody online yesterday, was quite happy with theirs, so it might be that you get yours and you're perfectly happy. I haven't liked this base since I saw it first revealed 2 years ago, so I may be swayed a bit by that I've had, that I hope that they would change it. Obviously, they've gone for that reminds me, they've gone for the Amon-Hen on this base, obviously, which fits perfectly. But I just wanted to say quickly, whether by accident or whether it's because they've actually sort of been paying attention to a lot of comments, this is a very, very small base. For Prime 1, it's tiny. It's got a very, very small footprint. In fact, I'll go and get my tape measure and I'll measure it for you, because I know some of you are going to ask what it is. But yeah, this is one of the issues what they've done here. They've done this lovely small base with a very small footprint. It fits on my shelf easy. But I think they've been guilty, which I think they're guilty of doing this quite a bit. You know, they've overloaded, they've gone way too much detail, and it's not worked for me. It's not worked this time. I think Prime 1 do need to learn the old adage of less is more sometimes. So anyway, I'll get the tape measure and I'll quickly measure this for you, so because I know some of you are going to be interested in the diameter of this base. Back in a sec. Okay, so counting the spikes as best as I can tell, because it's very difficult to, this base is about 15 inches in diameter, as best as I can tell, about 15 inches. So, you know, nice small base really. This base is comparable to when I had the Sideshow Court of the Dead. Any of the larger bases, it's about the same size. So, and I think he weighs, you might need to correct me on this, but I think the overall weight of this is about 12 kilos, or it could be 14 kilos. So it's pretty light as well. Right, handheld, zoom in, let's go. Okay guys, I'm literally starting off for me what is the worst area of this base. Now, I've got no issue with the helmet. You know, it's sculpted well, it's got, you know, some good detail on there. The paint app on the helmet is acceptable. The same with all the stonework. I've got no issue with any of the stonework either, but, and again, the helmets, you know, I think there could be more paint detail on it, but I've got no complaints, it's fine. My issue is the rest of it. Now, this mud area with these tree roots, they've used pretty much one, maybe two, one very monotone brown colour, which it doesn't even look like a natural brown to me. I'll overlay an image of the promotional piece in places so you can compare, and you look at the colours they've used in that. There's, you know, there's yellows and all different shades of brown, and the greens they've used are proper like earthy greens. The greens on this I feel are too deep, too dark really, and there's not enough of it. There's not enough shading. And in regards to the tree roots, I'm not impressed with the sculpt on them. They look very basic. Some of these ones here at the top here, along here, the paint's all filled in, what could potentially have been more sculpt detail, you know, the paint app. And this area down here, all this here, this mud area, to me, all I see that looks like to me is, you know, when you get cake mixture and you sort of pour it out, it just looks like that, and it's just gone a bit mouldy, and that's all I see when I look at this. For me, this is as poor a paint application and sculpt, an effort to put detail in, as I've seen Prime 1 ever do. And it is literally just this area here that I'm disappointed with. This was what I saw when I lifted it out of the box. It was what I saw when I saw the first images, and I was hoping that it would be improved. And in all fairness, on the promotional piece, on them images, it looks a lot better because they've applied a lot more colour, and it's given it depth, and it looks realistic. This does not look realistic. And this is a case of really, you know, they didn't need to go into all this detail, I feel, here. They could have kept this far simpler in this area. And it's such a shame because the rest of the statue, I feel, is excellent. But anyway, we'll work our way around this base because there's more examples around here, guys, so just bear with me. You see here with the tree root on the top of the stairwell, which, you know, it's this here is well sculpted, good detail, but there's just really been one colour. There's been one colour and then like an ink wash put over it, and that's it. And when we get round the other side, I'll show you again the promotional image and compare the two, where just by adding a bit more colour and a bit more attention, it just brings it alive. But when it's on the shelf at a distance, I've got to admit this looks good. I apologise, guys, if this is going off. I'm trying to concentrate and talk and keep this in focus for you all. Now, you see, if I come round this side, here again, look, I mean, this one root here, this one, I mean, if you're not going to bother putting any sort of a paint app on it, why? I mean, you don't need me to tell you what that looks like. You know, it's just, there's no sculpt detail in it at all, and it's just one boring, unnatural. That's not a wood brown. You know, they needed to put far more attention to this, and I'm annoyed. With you know, bits like this, because to me this is shoddy, and I know Prime 1 are a lot better than this. Again, I'll just take you around the other side, guys. Some of this detail here is really good. It's acceptable, and even the paint application in places here isn't bad at all. But again, you know, let me just go around the other side. Now here with this part of the tree, I'll put the image on the promotional piece just by applying more colour and more care and attention. It's brought that out so much better than what this looks. Now I've got no major complaints with this. It's acceptable, but it could be so much better. I mean, the thing is, I go and look at that Escape Off the Road, which is covered with wood and wood effect, and you look what Weta did with their paint application. This is the thing for me now. Some of you might think I'm being really critical, but this piece was just a couple of quid shy of 700 quid, and you know, I think the price is fair. I think it's a very fair price for this piece. I have no complaints with the price at all. However, for that amount of money, I expect prestige. These are supposed to be a prestigious statue company, and some of this paintwork on this tree and this tree root and the mud effect, to me, is £10 plastic toy effect. That's all it is. And I mean, what annoys you, come around this side and you've got like one of the heads here, look, and they've even gone to the, you know, like the noses always break off, you know, old stone statues, and they've even gone to that level of attention and care, and there's sword marks in it, look. And so they've gone to all this care, so they have cared and put detail in and everything else, which makes it more frustrating. I mean, look at that awful tree root going up the side. It just ruins it. If you're not going to put any care and attention in Prime, don't put it there. Leave it off, because that's ruining it. I'm going to have to go and get this tree root and this mud effect repainted to make it, because it can look so much better. Literally, guys, that is pretty much the only negative thing with this statue for me. So if you've got this piece coming, please don't be too concerned. You might get it and you might like it. It's just, for me, I have a certain level of expectation, and when it's not reached, well, you know, I promised you guys I'd always be bluntly honest with my reviews. I'm being bluntly honest. Right, that's all the bad bits out of the way. Like I say, the stonework and everything else is fine. I love, like, they've put in, you know, one of the kings of Numenor, presumably this is. He certainly looks reminiscent of one of the statues of the Argonath, anyway. It's brilliant. You know, it's very good. It's more than acceptable sort of thing. It's just the tree, those tree roots, and that mud effect for me is abysmal. Okay, let's go into all the good stuff. We might as well at the back. We'll have a look. Now this is all sculpted. This is what I mean. Look at this. The stitching. They've put the stitching in. The leather effect is fantastic. The buckles and the belt and the straps. All of this is sculpt. I think it is anyway. Yeah, that's sculpt. I'm not going to break anything else off this piece. It's all sculpt. Look at that leather effect. It's fantastic, and an adequate paint job. You know, they didn't need any more. Again, the straps and the stitching on the back there. Now, there you can see where I broke his hair. Look, can you see it? How bloody annoying is that? I apologise with my light in the back there. All the hair is sculpted. Fantastic sculpt job on the hair. I'll show you the detail on the back of his arms. Fantastic detail there. You know, they've got the tricep right and all that. Now, I know that Geo on Rad Titan knows all his muscle groups perfectly, so I'm trying to show my very basic knowledge. And there's the glove and the arrow. I mean, I love the bow setup. I really do. I'll talk about that more when I get around the other side. But I must say, while I'm here, with this blade on the front, did any of you play Breath of the Wild? It really reminds me of one of the bows you get off the Lionels, with those blades on the front. But, you know, the detail on the bow and everything is superb. That is elastic. The wire on there is elasticated. The left and right arms are joined by that. I think I told you that on the unboxing, so just be aware of that. And going down to the detail. I mean, they've got all the veins in his arms and everything, and the same in his legs, look. got scars and everything. The boots, the detail on the boots is superb. This is what makes this so frustrating. I'm just going to go around the other side now, guys. Here we go. Yeah, this is what makes this so frustrating. I mean, you look at the care and attention of his boots there and his feet, and you know the rock work, and then you look down and you see that bloody cake mixture base. Jeez, Prime 1, what were you thinking? Okay, there's enough of the negative stuff. Let's concentrate on everything that's good with this. Fantastic. I love the pose. I absolutely adore the pose on this piece, by the way. I think it's fantastic. It looks incredible. I think it works a lot better with the bow and arrow setup because he's obviously putting his weight back onto his right leg there to steady himself. It still looks okay with the sword and shield. I'll put them on in a minute for you. But I think the pose with the bow looks superior. You know, there, look at the scar in his arm, the veins. See the veins in his arms, look. And on there, look at that arm. Look at all the veins. Look at the detail and the work they've gone into on that. The chest armor on the front, as best as I can tell, that is accurate to the film. I've got a 1/1 scale Lurtz bust upstairs, which I've used for reference on this as well, and the reference to the film. I mean, look at that. I mean, that is superb detail. I don't like that shading on that glove. To me, that looks like the brush from painting the arm has gone up onto the glove. I wish they'd use a different colour. That's my one critique on the Lurtz, and it's the same on the shoulder piece as well, although not so much, but certainly there. It's the identical colour to the skin. They needed to use a different colour. But the buckle on the gloves and everything else, look at the detail on that bow. That is fantastic. Really impressive. The arrow is good. Now let's go to the crowning glory of this piece. I need to get somewhere where you can see this better, which is that portrait. That portrait is exemplary. Absolutely exemplary. They have done such a superb job on that. They really have. I've had such a close look at this portrait, and yeah, absolutely brilliant. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to steady my arm. How's that? And you know, the detail on the eyes, in the mouth, the teeth, the wrinkles in the skin. I don't know if this is all coming out, but they've got all the creases around the eyes. I don't know if I can get any close. I don't think this is bringing out all the detail here. I mean, you can see all the cracks in the lips, and you know, this is brilliant. Absolutely fantastic work. Paint application, sculpt, everything on that portrait. It's a 10 out of 10, which is why, guys, I'm so frustrated with that base. Don't think I'm raging here at Prime 1, I'm not. You know I absolutely love Prime 1 and the work that they do, which is why I am so frustrated with them with that base. To me, it just looks shoddy. Anyway, I'm going to go back onto the stand now, and I'm going to put the other set of arms on for you, so you can just see him in his other pose for those of you who may have the EX version coming. I'll give you a last quick scan over Lurtzy boy. Fantastic work on that Prime 1, on Lurtz himself. Superb work. But what the hell is this? What's this? I mean, look. That could be so much better. For me, I say maybe I'm being overcritical. Let me know in the comments if you think I am. But it's really just that area there and then a couple of pieces on the back. You know, it just does not look good. It does not look good. We're going for realism here, and this is toyish. Somebody was, hang on, actually I'll talk about it in a second. I'm going to go back onto the stand, guys. Okay, so here we are with the EX version, if you've gone for that, with the sword and shield. Now, I'm not going to go for this pose because, one, I don't think it looks as dynamic as the bow and arrow. I don't think it looks as good as the bow and arrow, and I'm going to sort of zoom in a minute and just show you. I'm not overly impressed with the sword either. Well, I'll zoom in quickly and show you. The other reason why I'm choosing the bow and arrow is because I'm a little bit paranoid now about that magnet failing, and because these arms are joined, if either one of the magnets fails, the arm's just going to swing because they're attached, and these magnets are plenty strong enough to hold the weight of the other arm. So yeah, it sort of, I suppose it may, that magnet fail and that arm falling off, it may have bothered me a bit, and now that he's on the shelf, he could potentially, if that fell off, it could hit all the pieces. But I've got to admit, again, when I took the sword out of the box, I wasn't overly impressed with it, and I've sat and had a good look at this sword, and for me, yeah, again, I've got an issue with the paint application. I'm going to zoom in and show you anyway, so I've to see what you think. Okay, now I'm going to try and do this quickly because my camera keeps focusing on what's behind. I'm hoping that's focused on the sword. Now, do you see that paint application? I just don't like those lines running along it. You see what I mean? I assume that's supposed to be some sort of blood spatter that's caught in like all the dints in the sword. And you see you've got blood spatter on the end, but I mean it's like an ochre colour, it's not red. Or it's not a dried blood colour, and I just don't like them lines. Sorry guys, this is really struggling to focus. Anyway, I don't want to be sort of spending too long. I want to try and keep this video short. But yeah, overall I'm not impressed with this part of the sword. The sculpt is okay, it's pretty good, you know, they've tried to weather it, age it and what have you, but again, paint application here has let this down. I'll show you the handle. The handle is actually the better piece. You know, you can clearly see that they've, as it showed you in the film, this is just one piece of metal that the Orcs forged, just what the Uruk-hai's forged, and just a few straps of leather wrapped around it. Again, you know, not a bad, the arm and everything's brilliant. Again, the EX on the arms, look at the veins and everything in the arm. That's all done well, but the paint app on that blade to me is poor, and it lets it down. I'll show you the shield quickly. The shield's better. Again, I like the sculpt on this, and the design on this is superb. How they've made this so that it fits perfect with him. Look at that face sculpt, it's brilliant. Again, I think there could have been more care and attention spent on the paint app on this shield, more weathering, rust. Sculpt and everything's fine. I mean, all the damage and everything else on it, but it's pretty much just painted one colour. You know, there does seem to be areas on this where, you know, the paint applications have just let it down, but not on Lurtz himself, not on the bow and arrow. It's just that one area of the base, and for me, that sword. Does look cool though, doesn't he? He does look cool. Okay, so I hope that close-in footage has come out okay for you all, guys. So basically, to sum all this up, to give a bit of a roundup on all this, overall, having had this now for a few days, when he's over there on the shelf and I'm sat myself and look at it, I absolutely love it. I love it. At just under £700, the price to me is absolutely fine. The shipping did go up on this, but not by much, and I'm not going into shipping. There's been enough talked about shipping in this hobby now to last us the next 10 years. Yeah, so cost and everything else, absolutely fine. The sculpt and paint applications on Lurtz himself are fantastic. Overall, at a distance, I'm quite happy with the base. The only thing I'm not happy with the base is when I go up and have a closer look at him, which is such a shame, because I go up and have a closer look at the Ueta escape off the road, and I just love it more and more the closer I get. This is one where Lurtz is fantastic close up and sat on the sofa, but when I come closer to admire him a bit more, I have to look at that. You'll have to let me know what you all think when you get yours. Is it a bit of a letdown for you? Are you quite happy with it? I know at least one other person's more than happy with it. So again, it might be just me being critical, guys. So yeah, I'm a little bit bloody annoyed with myself for breaking that little bit off the hair on the back there. I'm going to see if I can fix it. So, such a knob jockey doing that. Anyway, I haven't broke a statue in quite a while, so I suppose I was due to do one soon. At least it's on the back where you can't see it. Right, so what score do I give this? Well, do you know what? I was going to mark it lower, because the 3, 4 days ago when I unboxed it, mate, it was going to be a bloody low score. But over the last few days, I've really grown to seriously like this statue. I'm going to give it a very resounding 8 out of 10. And solely the points lost. I'm not taking the points off for the additional pieces in there, because I don't think that necessarily warrants it, because most, you know, it's the main components for me. So I don't like that sword, but I'm not taking anything off for that shoddy paint job on that sword. For me, it's solely down to the areas of the base. Those tree trunks and that mud. Those tree roots, sorry, and that mud. The tree trunk is acceptable. Not as good as the promo, but I know they never are as good as the promo, but I don't know why they deviated from the colour usage they had on that to this. It's awful. I hate this brown they've used. Yeah, I'm stopping looking at that because it's going to put me off. Yeah, so that's it anyway. So I told you it's going to be a long one. I don't think I've missed anything that I wanted to go into. If there's anything you want me to go over again, guys, or there's any questions you have regarding this piece or anything else, obviously just shove it in the comments below. Yeah, what do you think? What do you think? Am I being way too critical? I don't think I am. I think I've been quite easy going on it, to be honest with you. I could have been far worse with it. If I'd have done the review about 2 hours after I'd done the unboxing, it would have been a very different review, I can assure you. But Lurtz himself, absolutely love it. I wish I could show you the amount of detail on that portrait. I don't think it's coming out on the camera. It's superb. Right, so this video is well over half an hour now, so I'm going to shut up and go. I'm going to flick the turntable on. I'll put the bow and arrow back on. I'll do it with the, I'll give it a few turns with the sword and shield, and I'll stop and put the bow and arrow on for you so you can see it that way as well. Anything, as always, guys, shove it in the comments. If you've enjoyed the video, be sure to click the like button, and if you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing. We're on the road to 500 and the big Haunt of the Collector giveaway. Woo! Good news, I don't know if any of you others have. Aragorn, my payment is partial paying, and it's due to be paid next week, I think, or is it the week after? Yeah, anyway, I've not had the actual email off them, but I've been on my account, and yeah, so Aragorn could be here in as little as 3 weeks time, maybe 4 weeks time, so I'm hoping he gets here before I go on my holiday. So yeah, we'll have Aragorn soon anyway. That's it for me, this video. I hope you all have a great weekend. I hope I haven't wrapped it on too long for you all. It's getting a bit dry, I need a brew. So I'm going to go, and take care of yourselves, and I will catch you all on the next video, and I'll leave you with Lurtz here.